mysteries of creation are there. In the sky. Up in the sky. The moon and the planets are there. And new hopes for knowledge and peace are there.
Welcome everybody to your Inner Journey Weather Report for the week of March 7th to March 13th, 2021, in which we utilize archetypal astrology to help you get a sense of the energies in the collective and how they can contribute to your inner journeys this week, whether that be meditation, vision quest, psychedelic journey, yoga experience, any sort of inner journey this week. So this week we have a very interesting combination of archetypal alignments, planetary alignments, which I'm going to share with you right here using Archetypal Explorer. So mid to late week, we have Sun conjoined Neptune. That's our big transit for this week, as you can see from the graph here. It goes exact around Thursday, and though it's there all week, and here are the qualities here of Sun conjoined Neptune. Sun conjoined Neptune, we can think about the Sun is associated, the archetype of the Sun is associated with a central sense of identity. The I, the me, my name, just like the Sun is the central hub that holds the solar system together. We each have a central sense of identity that holds our life together. And Neptune is the archetype of the infinite expanses. Neptune was the god of the ocean in the Greco-Roman mythology. And Neptune as an archetype is associated with infinite expanses, the infinite ocean, the infinite sky, the infinite imagination, the infinite dream realm, spirit realm, somewhere that has no boundaries and no center. And so very interesting combination, because the Sun is the centralizing principle in the human psyche. I, me, the Sun reflects the centralizing archetype within us, our name, our identity. Yet Neptune is associated with that which has no center, no boundaries. The center is everywhere and nowhere. It's associated with the collective unconscious, the realm of the imagination, the sea of images from which archetypal images and imaginary images come forth. So very interesting combination. We can think of people, we can get a sense of what this energy in the collective will feel like this week by looking at people that are born with Sun and Neptune in alignment, in aspect, as we say, in an angle to each other, in alignment to each other. For instance, Frida Kahlo. So Frida Kahlo was known for painting pictures of herself and her identity, and through that identity having access to the Neptunian collective unconscious and the well of the imagination and the well of dreams and dream imagery. Oftentimes herself and her identity would be covered with images, very imaginative, colorful images, even sometimes inside herself, penetrating and permeating herself. And so she's a good example of the identity being the vehicle through which the Neptunian imagination, collective unconscious, imaginative expression expressed itself. We have Carl Jung too. He was also born with Sun, Neptune. And for him, we can see how his identity, his I, his me, his name became associated with Neptune, in that he is the one who termed the term collective unconscious. So his identity actually became linked up with the collective unconscious itself. He's almost like synonymous with the collective unconscious. So the collective unconscious associated with Neptune, his identity, his name associated with the Sun, the two together, Sun, Neptune. Another one is John Keats, the poet, the English poet. He has on his tombstone, before he passed away, he asked that on his tombstone was written, "Here lies one whose name was writ in water." And so the name is associated with the Sun. It's associated with the I, the me, the identity. And water is associated with Neptune. Neptune is the infinite expanses, and there's a particular association of Neptune with the water and the oceans, in the sense of this, how his identity dissolved out into the infinite. And that's a very kind of illustrative example of the type of energies that can be accessed this week with collective, with inner journeys, in the sense that there can be a sense of the connecting up of the I, the identity, with a kind of a dissolving out into a feeling of oneness with a larger union of experience. There can also be a sense of the I, my me, my identity getting informed by Neptunian inspiration coming from the collective unconscious, the sea of images of the imagination, dreams, having dreams about my identity, having my identity and my kind of my evolving identity being informed by my dreams and images therein. Very Sun Neptune. As we get towards the end of the week, we have actually Venus Neptune conjunction, and that is another beautiful combination. This time Neptune is there, and with Venus, the archetype of pleasure, the archetype of harmony, beauty. Venus is associated with love, with friendship. Also, Venus is associated with the beauty of artistic expression, any type of beauty. When combined with Neptune, the beauty and the love tend to be exalted to spiritual heights, to heights of associated with the union and the transcendence of Neptune. John Keats, the poet, who we talked about being born with Sun Neptune, was also born Venus Neptune. So the poet, the divinely inspired poet, that's a very Venus Neptune quality. Also, the love that is divinely, that's linked with the divine, that is a love for the divine. Ram Dass was born with Venus Neptune. And we can see in his life how the supplication to the divine was an act of love. Also, Jeff Buckley, born with Venus Neptune, the guitarist and singer who sung Hallelujah, the song Hallelujah, which has a very Venus Neptune quality in that it's a song of devotion to the divine that is sung like a love song. Interestingly, the song was actually written by Leonard Cohen, who was also born with Venus Neptune. So it's written by Leonard Cohen. It's a song of dedication to a lover, but through the lover, they experience the divine. There's a line in there where it says that through the lover, the narrator experiences the holy Tao. And so Leonard Cohen was born with that. He wrote that song. Jeff Buckley, who was born also with that, he sung that song, became very famous for it. And you see that commonly, that when we're born with an aspect, we get attracted to the art and the creation of others that are born with that aspect. So these are two beautiful aspects that are here this week. Venus Neptune, Sun Neptune. As we get towards later in the week, the Venus Neptune can show up in inner journeys in a way of divinely inspired poetry, art, and also feelings of love that are not kind of based on the person. They're more expansive and kind of a unifying access to a unifying character there. So that's what we have this week. At the end of the week, I will be a part of a panel discussion. Speaking of Venus Neptune, my colleagues and friends, archetypal astrologers, all of us will be joining in a panel to talk about the role that astrology can play in the future of humanity. And that is part of the launch, the official launch of ANN, Archetypal News Network channel on YouTube, a channel devoted to archetypal astrology and the observations of archetypal astrology in our world and in our personal experience, just like this video here today. And that's going to be on Saturday, and I'll include a link for you to join below, Saturday the 13th, and it's completely free. And it's a wonderful panel discussion talking about the inspiration that astrology has had for us personally, and how each of us on the panel feel that astrology will inform humanity's experience here on Earth moving forward. So thank you so much. Wonderful to be with you here today, and have a wonderful week of inner journeys and outer journeys.